What's up guys, Halfman67 right here, and today I'm gonna go over the Spyderco Tenacious. I know that there's a lot of reviews out there about this knife, but anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys my impressions about it. Basically, the Tenacious is the low-cost knife developed by Spyderco to kind of sell you the illusion that you're buying a Spyderco knife with a Spyderco quality, but for a very low price. This one actually cost me a little less than 30 euros, shipping included. Don't want to be too hard with that knife by any means, really. Just want to keep the review as objective as I can, but truth be told, I'm not a big fan of this knife. As you can see, I've got a little lanyard on it here. Not a big fan of this whole lanyard thing, but I recently wrapped my Izula here with some blue paracord, and I had a little piece remaining here on the back, so instead of putting it to the trash, I just attached it to my Tenacious, and looks pretty cool though. So what do we have here? The knife has G10 scales on both sides. Texture on it is pretty slick, actually. Not really grippy, doesn't give you a really good traction. You got steel liners inside, yeah, you can see that, and they are drilled out to remove some weight to the knife, which is a good thing. However, I don't know how much it weighs, but my first impression when I received it was, damn, it's pretty heavy, Don't necessarily feel it the same way right now, because I've been carrying the knife for a little while, and I guess I'm kinda used to it, but first impression was pretty heavy though. Not a big issue anyway, The handle is actually quite ergonomic, your thumb comes naturally here on the thumb ramp, and that has a really purposeful jimping here. It's also comfortable for the 3 last fingers here. The only minor issue that I have is with my index finger. It's like it doesn't really find its dedicated spot, if you know what I'm saying. This little place here has no jimping, and you got some here on the liner, but it's too far from the actual spot, and so it doesn't really lock your finger in its position, I think. You got a pocket clip. You see I've lost a screw here, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Not a big fan of this pocket clip. First, because it was too stiff when I received it, so I had to remove it and bend it out a little bit. And second, I think it carries a little too high in your pocket, you see. You got that much sticking out of your pocket, and you can easily see here the beginning of the blade, so it's really large in the pocket, really. Otherwise, you can put the clip in all 4 positions, tip up, down, left, right, which I think is nice. But like I said, when it's clipped on your pocket, it's just overly obtrusive. I mean, it has a quite big width here, so then it's pretty hard to access to what you have in your pocket when you got your knife clipped on. Really feels bulky in the pocket, whereas it's not really a big knife per se, but in the pocket it's just enormous. The locking mechanism is a liner lock, and that is a very good point for a knife. The lockup on it is very safe and solid. I mean, you got no blade play, vertical, up and down, side to side. Sometimes with cheap knives the liner lock is too thin or doesn't engage far enough, so you have some play when it's locked. Here you got a really thick liner, which engages pretty far on the blade, and it's really tight. Like I said, no blade play at all. So very good point for Spyderco. They haven't neglected the liner lock, which I really appreciate. How about the blade right now? It's a full flat grinding, which makes it a pretty good slicer. Pretty useful for food preparation. But, yeah, there's a huge con with this knife, and it is probably my main critic about this knife, is the steel. Spyderco uses for this model, don't know if you can see here, uses the 8CR13 MOV steel, and how could I say that politely? It's a total crap. I mean, honestly. Well, not in all senses of the term, because, you know, when you talk about steel in general, there's always three factors that you want to rate. It's the edge retention, the corrosion resistance, and the easiness of sharpening. Corrosion resistance is pretty good on this steel. You know, I've had some minor rust spot here on the blade that I have removed. I mean, for example, I had one. Yeah, but I don't think you can see this. No, you can see that on the camera, but I had one little spot here remaining, little rust spot. But I had, you know, I had let this knife wet for 2 days, so obviously I can't blame it on steel, you know. And really it was not a big deal, just some small points of rust, and no problem with that. Sharpening the knife is actually really easy, no problem to get it back to razor sharp. You know, with this Smith's two-step, it's really easy on ceramic, and do it 20 times and you got your edge back. But the main con is edge retention, and edge retention on this knife is just horrible. I mean, just to give you a personal example, I had sharpened this knife with my Smith's two-step here to get a clean paper cut test. You know, I had a really clean paper cut test after I sharpened it. That's how I like to use my knife, you know, not necessarily shaving sharp, but I like to have a clean paper cut test, you know. Yeah, so like I said, the knife was sharp, and I've used it 3 evenings for food preparation and then to eat with. Nothing hard for the blade, you know, I'm not talking about chopping down a tree or anything. I'm just talking about cutting some onions, some veggies, some fishes, you know, on a wood board. So really nothing too aggressive for the edge, obviously. After that I used my knife to eat what I had prepared 3 times, 3 evenings, and no use between these 3 evenings. The 3rd days after dinner I checked the sharpness of the blade, and no paper cut test at all. It just teared up the paper, and it was not sharp enough to get a clean cut on the onions, so I was kinda, you know, crushing them instead of cutting, you know, instead of slicing through it, I was just crushing them, so. And really, that is what justifies the price of the knife. Some people say this knife is like, you know, the deal of the century, and yeah, I gotta say it's quite well made, really. I mean, for a $30 knife, it's quite well made. The handle, the liner lock, the general design, you know, I kind of like it actually, but it definitely doesn't worth more that. But it definitely doesn't worth more than the €30 that I've paid for it. Really. You know, especially because of this crappy steel, like I said, because really the steel on this knife worth nothing. So yeah, if you're looking to review, maybe you're thinking about getting one, you know, but if you have €30 or dollars or whatever your money is in your pocket and thinking about getting a Tenacious, my advice, for what it worth, would be save up a little bit more, wait a little bit, and get an endura. I mean, you're gonna have to add just around 20 euros to get an endura. I mean, you can find it online shipped for about 50 or 55 euros. Get the endura full flat ground if you want a great slicer, because the blade is really thin, you know, and it's an excellent slicer. Even if it's a little longer than this one, it will definitely take less space on your pocket. I mean, it's lighter and it's longer than this one, and you know, ergonomics is better, clip is better too, and the steel is VG10, and I'm really a big fan of this VG10 steel, which is quite easy to sharpen, has a good rust resistance, and especially a very good air retention. Well, I think it's probably my favorite steel, VG10. I mean, for a DC at least. Really, go with the endura. You're not gonna be disappointed. It's a proven value, you know. So that's all that I gotta say about this guy. Thanks for watching, and leave a comment if you have any question. See ya.